After returning from a week-long international trip, I was pleasantly surprised when my mother-in-law Tiffany called me with an air of victory. She mentioned something about a $30,000 windfall we had saved. Confused, I tried to recall any recent instance where I had amassed such a sum. As a freelance jewelry designer, I do maintain a savings account for unexpected expenses, but I certainly don't keep large amounts of cash around, and my bank card was secure with me. Normally, no one else has access to withdraw such a substantial amount from my account. He gave it to me, so I took it from the sideboard drawer. You guys are doing well, so it's fine, Tiffany declared over the phone, leaving me bewildered. Before I could understand more, she quickly thanked me and hinted at counting on me for future financial help before hanging up. I was left puzzled about the missing $30,000 until Logan, my husband, returned home and cleared up the confusion. It was a misunderstanding. However, a month later, Tiffany bombarded me with numerous calls. I chose to ignore them initially, but the constant ringing eventually compelled me to answer. Over 80 missed calls displayed on my phone screen was disconcerting. As I picked up, Tiffany's shrill voice filled the room, accusing me of ignoring her. Her tone suggested she felt wronged, but to me, it was merely the consequences of her assumptions. I am Rebecca, a 34-year-old busy freelance jewelry designer wanting children but overwhelmed by work, is shared with my equally busy husband, Logan. He originally had a corporate job but now assists me in managing my growing design business. Early in our marriage, my designing gigs were sparse, and we largely depended on Logan's steady income. Now, as my business flourishes, our roles and responsibilities have evolved, but so have our challenges, like dealing with unexpected family misunderstandings about money. As I neared the age of 33, my career as a jewelry designer began to flourish, necessitating better organization of my increasingly hectic schedule. Sensing the growing demands of my business, my husband Logan, who was well-placed in his company and on track for promotion, made a bold decision. He resigned from his job to partner with me, applying his skills in management to our joint venture. Together, we secured contracts with prestigious international brands, enhancing both our professional and personal lives. However, managing success came with its unique set of challenges, particularly involving Logan's mother, Tiffany. Living alone in the family home, she perceived our lives through a lens of luxury and often approached us with financial requests. "You always seem to be living so lavishly. I'm jealous," she would comment. As part of my role, attending product launches and dinners with executives was routine, yet Tiffany saw these obligations as mere leisure. Her requests grew more personal over time. "I'm going to throw a party for my friend soon. Can you give me some money for it?" she asked on one occasion. Although it might appear that we could easily afford such expenses, maintaining our business image was costly and filled with obligations that we couldn't ignore. We weren't living in luxury. These were necessary aspects of our work. Tiffany, draped in envy and often sarcasm, failed to grasp the nature of our expenses. "Dressed up beautifully, eating at expensive places, I envy you," she'd say. Despite my repeated refusals, Logan, being her son, would occasionally acquiesce to her demands, reasoning that a little financial help was a small price for peace. If giving her a little money keeps her quiet, then it's worth it, he'd argue, finding it simpler to appease her than to have our work disrupted. Yet, Tiffany's demands only escalated. Recently, she expressed a desire for a new dress for an upcoming gathering. Just the other day, Tiffany came over and pestered Logan. "Wouldn't a two-piece suit work? We've been asked to buy clothes before," she said. "There might be cheaper options, but what Tiffany wants is certainly not cheap," I explained. Her rebuttal was that it was a fancy party, and she couldn't be the only one dressed in old clothes. Furthermore, she insisted on a matching bag, leaving us exasperated. To manage her frequent requests, Logan had previously set up a credit card in Tiffany's name, instructing her to use it for her expenses. Initially, she overspent significantly and was cautioned by Logan. Although he asked her to inform us before making significant purchases, she continued her extravagant spending. This pattern of financial demands has left both Logan and me at our wits' end, trying to balance the delicate act of supporting family while maintaining the integrity and sustainability of our business. I discovered an exquisite ring and couldn't resist purchasing it, though I regret not informing you beforehand. Unfortunately, the bill was exorbitant. If spending is going to be this unrestrained, perhaps it's best to return the card. We simply cannot cover these costs. The credit card was in Tiffany's name, but Logan was the one managing and paying the bills. Tiffany seemed to misunderstand the purpose of the credit card, treating it as if it were an unlimited resource. She didn't grasp that every purchase made would eventually need to be paid for, and since the money wasn't coming directly from her pocket, she continued to use it freely. Recognizing the need to curb her spending, Logan decided to set a spending limit on her card. This led to Tiffany storming into our home one day, frustrated and complaining. "What the heck? I couldn't pay for my shopping the other day. Why?" We explained that her excessive spending was straining our finances, which necessitated lowering her monthly limit. "It's still enough, right?" Logan asked her, trying to maintain some peace. "But you two are still dressing up, going to fancy places. How is what I'm doing any different?" Tiffany protested, viewing our activities as purely recreational. "That's part of our job, Tiffany. If that's a job, then what I'm doing isn't any different. It's unfair that only you two get to have all the fun," she argued. While it's true that our work involves attending product launches and parties in luxurious venues, these are professional obligations, not leisure activities. Despite her misconceptions, setting a spending limit on Tiffany's credit card seemed to have calmed the situation somewhat. Occasionally, Tiffany would visit and air her grievances to Logan, but overall, life proceeded without major disruptions. As the end of the year approached, an exciting opportunity presented itself. A foreign brand manufacturer approached me with a proposal to expand our business dealings by relocating our base overseas. The prospect thrilled me as it could potentially elevate me to the ranks of top-tier designers. Logan, ever supportive as my manager, was all for leaping. "It's a chance we have to take," he affirmed. However, the prospect of moving abroad brought a new concern. Tiffany. Given her past behavior, it was a legitimate worry that she might insist on joining us overseas. The idea of living internationally was appealing, yet the thought of dealing with Tiffany's demands in a new country was daunting. When we shared our plans to move overseas for work with Tiffany that weekend, she responded exactly as we predicted. "I want to come too," she declared, assuming our move would be an endless vacation. Logan tried to clarify. "We're going there for work. It won't be as leisurely as you think." But Tiffany was skeptical. "You're trying to trick me. You plan to live even more lavishly there without me watching," she accused. "We're not moving there permanently. We'll come back after our work is done," I explained, trying to ease her concerns. Yet she retorted, "You're saying that, but you're planning to leave me behind, aren't you?" Exhausted by this repetitive argument, Logan and I were both weary. In an attempt to compromise, Logan suggested, "Okay, we can't take you with us, but how about we pay for a week-long trip for you instead?" Tiffany perked up at this. "Really? Are you sure?" "We'll cover your flight and hotel, but you'll need to manage the rest," Logan affirmed, pleased, at least for the moment. However, the peace was short-lived. A few days later, while Logan was preoccupied with the overseas move arrangements, Tiffany dropped by unexpectedly. "Hey, Rebecca," Logan said, "but I want to shop over there too. Can you give me some money?" she asked. "What about the card that Logan gave you?" I inquired, knowing she had a designated credit card for such expenses. Tiffany's face fell. "That's the thing. Logan finally took it away from me the other day," she admitted. It appeared she had been reprimanded for overspending. Anticipating the challenges of managing finances with different currency rates overseas, Logan confiscated the card. "I don't have that kind of money on hand either. I can't give you money without Logan's approval. Can you ask him?" I suggested, knowing full well Logan's stance. "It's no use asking him, that's why I'm asking you," she pressed, raising her voice in frustration. Tiffany did end up going on a 10-day trip abroad, which I assumed Logan managed to fund somehow. Upon her return, she called me, brimming with excitement. "I'm back, and it was so fun!" She excitedly shared tales of her sightseeing and dining adventures, though I hadn't asked. "And I overbought souvenirs, couldn't fit them in my suitcase, so I had them shipped here. Can't wait for them to arrive," she exclaimed. "That's nice," I replied, trying to keep my tone neutral despite feeling a bit overwhelmed. "Thanks to the money you saved up, I had a blast," she exclaimed. "Saved up money? What are you talking about?" I responded, puzzled and a bit alarmed, having no recollection of setting aside money for her splurge. I found it in your house's sideboard drawer, she said, claiming she took $30,000. I was stunned. Why would such a large amount of cash be stashed away at home, especially not in a drawer where anyone could find it? Confused, I confronted her. I'm not sure what money you're talking about, but taking it from our house without permission is theft, even if you're family. Do you understand that? Tiffany's response was unsettlingly casual. That's why I'm telling you now. I used it. Consider it a post-factum report, she declared unapologetically. I have no idea about this money, but if you took it and used it without telling anyone, that's a crime. And if it was something Logan had set aside for an important transaction, it's even more serious, I explained, trying to make sense of the situation. Despite this, there hadn't been any noticeable disruptions in our business finances during her trip. You two live so extravagantly, so why can't I have a little of that? Think of it as doing a favor for your parent. It's not a big deal, right? She rationalized, showing a sense of entitlement that was hard to comprehend. Hey, pause for a moment. Would you care to support us? Like this video and subscribe for more. Now let's dive back into the story. It's one thing to ask for help from your son and his wife, but this is not how you should behave after taking someone else's money, I replied, still in disbelief. I'm glad you enjoyed your trip, but I'll have to discuss this with Logan when he returns. Logan will understand. After all, I'm his only mother, and $30,000 isn't much to him, she assumed. All right, I'll pass the message along, I said, astounded by her lack of awareness. Later that evening, when Logan came home, he looked troubled. Rebecca, do you know about the money I left in the drawer? He asked urgently. 15 days ago, I withdrew it from my bank account, and now it's gone. Keeping such a large sum in a drawer, didn't you think it was careless? He questioned. I needed cash immediately for an urgent payment. Do you know anything about it? It suddenly clicked. Tiffany's earlier call thanking me for the $30,000 and mentioning how much fun she had made sense now. It was Logan's money meant for a crucial purpose. Logan, today Tiffany called, thanking us for the 30 and saying she had a blast with it. I didn't understand what she meant until now, I explained, piecing everything together. So it was Logan's money, but what was such a large amount meant for? I asked. Hey, if it wasn't for a business payment, we've been doing bank transfers for a long time, right? Why cash all of a sudden? I questioned, trying to understand the whole scenario while dealing with the ramifications of Tiffany's actions. I was aware it was Logan's money that had disappeared, but the full context was still unclear to me. Tiffany, it turned out, had taken the money without informing us, and I needed to understand why. I asked Logan, puzzled by the situation. Logan began to unravel the backstory. After he had reduced the credit limit on Tiffany's card, she started secretly borrowing money from various sources, including consumer finance cards and credit cards she had opened without our knowledge. When Logan discovered her growing debt, he took away all her cards and withdrew cash to settle her debts directly, aiming to bypass the banking system to keep our business accounts clean and maintain trust with our partners. This was also partly a farewell gesture, as we're moving abroad and won't be around to manage such issues for her, Logan explained. I plan to handle her debts discreetly to prevent our financial records from getting complicated. A month had passed since then, and as I was busy packing for our move, Tiffany's frequent calls became hard to ignore. When I finally took her call, her voice was tinged with desperation. Why aren't you answering my calls? I've called so many times, she said, almost in tears. I'm sorry, Tiffany. I've been caught up with the move. What's going on? I asked, trying to remain calm and give her a chance to explain her side. It's not just one thing, it's everything. They're asking for payments almost every day. It's too much, Tiffany confessed, her voice cracking under the strain. Have you tried contacting Logan about this? I inquired, hoping she had sought his help first. He seems to be blocking my calls. I can't get through to him at all. Rebecca, you're my only hope now. Please help me, she pleaded. I realized then just how complex the situation had become. Tiffany's financial recklessness had led her into a labyrinth of debt, and now, isolated from Logan's assistance, she was turning to me as her last resort. As we prepared to start anew in a foreign country, the challenges of dealing with Tiffany's financial chaos loomed large. demanding immediate attention before we could fully focus on our new beginnings. I was taken aback by Logan's drastic approach toward his mother. If he had used the prepared funds to directly settle Tiffany's debts, this distressing situation might have been avoided. Instead, Tiffany was now overwhelmed with collections, letters, and relentless calls from finance companies and consumer lenders. It was a scene reminiscent of something from a dramatic film, one I had never expected to witness in real life. "I'll talk to Logan, but I can't guarantee what he'll do. A son should help his mother in trouble, right? Please ask him for me," Tiffany pleaded at the end of our conversation. However, with our impending business expansion, our financial resources were already stretched thin, and we couldn't afford to further assist Tiffany, especially given that she had misused the money meant to settle her debts. When I relayed the details of the call to Logan upon his return home, he responded with a mixture of fatigue and resignation. "I had planned to sort things out before we left, but she squandered that chance herself," he said coldly. Indeed, the money was originally earmarked to clear Tiffany's debts, but she had instead blown it on a lavish trip, leaving no room for excuses. As Tiffany's calls persisted, I followed Logan's lead and set her number to block. Although part of me wished to help her, she was, after all, Logan's mother. There was nothing I could do if he had chosen to detach from the situation. Meanwhile, the day of our move overseas was quickly approaching, and I still had a lot to pack. Amid the chaos of packing, I discovered another troubling piece of news. Tiffany had resorted to selling her house to manage her debts. It turned out she had concealed even more liabilities than we knew. The total amount was so substantial that even after selling her property, she couldn't cover it all. The thought of losing the family home where Logan had grown up was profoundly upsetting. "Hey, our family home is gone. Are you okay with that?" I asked, sensing his sadness. "How can I be okay? But there's nothing we can do," Logan replied, his voice tinged with sorrow. Losing the house where he grew up must have felt like a great loss, akin to how I felt when I lost my parents' house early in life. Amid these complex feelings and the heavy task of packing, we had to come to terms with the fact that some situations were beyond our control and focus on our future as we prepared to start anew in a different country. The bittersweet reality of losing a family home struck me deeply as I observed the situation unfolding with Logan. Unlike my past experiences, Logan had not only lost the tangible structure where his earliest memories were formed, but also his emotional sanctuary, all while his mother, Tiffany, was still alive. It's an indescribable feeling, the mixture of loss and displacement, especially under such painful circumstances. The impact is profound and complex, far more than mere bricks and mortar. It's about losing a part of one's history and the comfort of a place to return to that no longer exists. Tiffany, now residing in a modest apartment, faces the daily grind of managing her debts. She works part-time, a reality that is challenging given her age. Employment opportunities for the elderly are not just limited, they're often physically demanding and less rewarding. This stark new reality for her is a drastic shift from her previous life, believed to be filled with unchecked spending and financial freedom. Though sympathy naturally arises seeing her struggle, it's tempered by the knowledge that her situation is the direct result of her financial imprudence. Life teaches us that actions have consequences, and Tiffany's case reaffirms the harsh truth that financial responsibility is crucial at any age. Back in our new environment, the business is thriving beyond our initial expectations. The move overseas has catapulted our brand into the international spotlight, bringing in a flurry of inquiries and offers from various corners of the globe. Every new email and call brings the potential for expansion and collaboration, which is incredibly exciting but also immensely demanding. The success is exhilarating, however, it envelops our entire lives, leaving little room for anything else. Days blend into nights as we navigate time zones and cultural nuances, striving to make the most of this golden opportunity. Despite our professional achievements, our personal lives bear the weight of our relentless schedules. The dream of expanding our family seems more like a distant vision, something we hope to circle back to when the waves of immediate demand subside. Logan, who juggles multiple roles from logistics to client management, feels this strain acutely. As partners in both life and business, we find ourselves pondering the future and our priorities, wondering how we can align our professional goals with our desires. As I look out of our apartment window, taking in the view of the far landscape. The neon lights blur into the night, mirroring the blur of our daily lives. It's a view filled with promise and anonymity, a stark contrast to the familiar streets we once knew. This city, vibrant and relentless, is now our home. Yet it starkly contrasts with the quiet, steady life we left behind. The complexity of our new life is exciting but also daunting, filled with endless tasks and decisions that challenge us at every turn. Navigating this new chapter, I often find myself reflecting on Tiffany's situation and the broader implications of our familial and financial decisions. It's a continuous learning curve, understanding how deeply intertwined our choices are with the fabric of our lives. Each decision, each sacrifice, and each success shapes not just our immediate circumstances, but also the legacy we leave behind. As we build this new phase of our lives, we remain mindful of the delicate balance between achieving success and maintaining the relationships that define who we are beyond our business achievements. Let's conclude our story shortly. Life in this bustling foreign city has become our new normal. We've found a rhythm amidst the chaos, learning to navigate the demands of our burgeoning business while carving out precious moments for ourselves. Tiffany's situation remains a sobering reminder of the delicate balance between family, finances, and personal responsibility. While we've chosen a different path, one paved with ambition and risk, we carry with us the lessons learned from her experience. Ultimately, we strive to build a life where success is measured not just by professional achievements, but also by the strength of our relationships and the wisdom gained from our past. And as we look toward the future, we do so with cautious optimism, knowing that even amidst the glittering lights of a foreign city, the true treasures lie in the bonds we forge and the lessons we carry in our hearts. After experiencing the full journey of our story, we'd love to hear your thoughts. How did the story resonate with you? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay blessed. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next story.